There we go. So, well, welcome. This is our fourth public meeting for, biking and walking. We've had three others. You have somebody else? Oh. And what tonight is really about is to provide the results of our online survey. We had 315 people, from the community provide, their guidance. And we had near term, medium term, long term, hi, come on in. Projects. And, the results you'll find right at the end there, of the survey. And near term is 2 years or less that the planning commission has determined will take to accomplish. And then the medium term is 2 to 4 years, and then the long term is 4 years or more. And so we had 21 originally, down to 17 on the survey. And you can see by the results there that the number one choice, the community of the near term, which is page 1, is the 15-mile outer loop utilizing greenways and other on-street pedestrian and cycling safety measures. That got the most votes, followed by.
We can talk, we describe a little bit if they're not familiar with, that's basically using signage and pavement markings and maybe some working with stop signs and speed limits to basically create a loop that goes all the way around the city. Starts at Convention Center, Chancellor, have to share Ocean Shores Boulevard until you get to Sand Dune. So that's an area you would look at, maybe doing on pavement marking or reducing speed limit. We'll have signs trying to get people onto Sand Dune, because it's much, much safer on Sand Dune. It's 20 miles an hour, nobody goes down on Sand Dune. Sand Dune all the way till it ends, about 500 block of Ocean Shores Boulevard. Dangerous intersection, it is now, it always will be, where Sand Dune daylights onto Ocean Shores Boulevard. Just a little bit on Ocean Shores Boulevard again, and then duck down, Butterclam and back on Sand Dune. Stay on Sand Dune until again it daylights on the far end of Ocean Shores Boulevard. Ocean Shores Boulevard all the way around by the sewage treatment plant. And then you kind of cut in Fairview, which kind of ends the Oyhort Nature Preserve in that area. Out to Marine View. We used to go through, Oyhort Bay, but you put all the vicious speed bumps in there, so we don't go through there anymore. And right now, the path would take you on Marine View. We'll talk to Pat about getting the speed bumps out and maybe taking it through Oyhort. Marine View, all the way down to Point Brown, and again, Marine View, because it's 30, is a little less dangerous than some of the other ones, but again, it would be on-street marketing, signage. Then Point Brown, Catala, you go out by the community club, and then there's a whole series of Bayside roads, I can't even list them now, Gunderson, there's a whole series of them. And you only have to get on Duck Lake Road for like 2 blocks. You have to go by Captain Gray and Oyster Court. So we would look at things like maybe 3-way stops where you come out on Duck Lake, that would help slow Duck Lake down at the same time, all that sort of stuff. Duck back in around the bay, and then you come out right behind the, back on Duck Lake for a little bit, right at the airport. Then you go down Sunset, and you can kind of cut through Weatherwax and some of those back roads, if you know up in there, you come out, by the church up in there. And then you would end up back at the convention center. So the plan here is to work with, and the good news on this is we're gonna try, June, July, get this moving. The Blue Zones organization, before they go away, has agreed to give us access to their, urban architect. She's really good at this stuff. Get her to come out and help us work through some of the solutions, and then work with the grant writer, Sarah, and, the city staff on trying to find some grants to do this, to get that work done. But that's a good loop, because it's very scenic, it takes you around, I ride it all the time. And it's just a good, safe way to do it. So that's sort of a description of that project.
And what Gary's gonna try to do is get together, and you've got it termed, what, Tour de Shore?
Yeah, and so, and hopefully maybe by 2025, do a bike bike event, called Tour de Shores. That would be
That'd be
great.
fun.
Do it in late July, early August when the convention center can. And that one, you could do the 15-mile loop. There's an inner loop you can take, we would do for the Tour de Shores, and that kind of goes Canal and Mount Olympus, those roads, if you're used to the inner roads, that's sort of the inner loop, that's like 9 miles. So we're hoping in 2025 to sort of do an event, a bike event called Tour de Shores, working with Cascade Bike Club or somebody. That's sort of where that one's going.
And so that being the number one priority, as voted by the community, and in Gary's vision to do the 2025 event, that'll be it.
Great.
A full-
Even if the signs aren't all up and it's not all done, it's just a good way to promote it.
Right. So that's the short version of that one. Number two, complete connection of Point Brown Avenue multi-use trail north to the traffic circle.
So that's basically from right out here to the traffic circle was never done. The reason this is more doable is because the old Point Brown used to be a 4-lane. The grade is still over there, and it's mostly city land along the golf course, so it's pretty doable. The city has that easement along that grade. So it's just a question again of finding the grant money. And the original Point Brown was built with what's called Safe Route to Schools. And there is still funding in that. It's basically a way for kids to walk to the elementary school safely. So the original Point Brown, the Point Brown Avenue pavement out there right now is actually a Safe Route to School route. And so we'll work with Sarah to get maybe some more Safe Route to School grants. Little issue along the golf course, but we'll let them figure it out.
So those were the top two vote getters from the near term, 2 years or less projects that were proposed. As we move towards a medium term, 2 to 4 years, the top two were Marine View Drive multi-use trail.
And if you guys aren't familiar and haven't done that, on the south side of Marine View Drive, you've seen there's like an old grade over there, where there's all culverts and all that. What we have found out is that was the old haul road the last time they did a major jetty project. So when Ocean Shores was laid out, Marine View was gonna be 4 lanes, never was, from my point out. But the easements, and that's why all those houses have those wide easements in front of them. But when the Corps of Engineers did the jetty major upgrade about 30 years ago, they built a haul road right down there. So again, you don't have to do a lot of subgrade, it's just some clearing grading. Most of the culverts are in, but because there is possibly some environmental issues, we kind of thought that would be maybe more than 2 years. Because we do come along some wetlands, when you go just west of the south end, fire station, you have some wetland impacts you have to look through over there.
And the second one was the Mid Dune Trail.
Yeah, this one's a unique one, I think for dog lovers like Jane and myself. There's basically, I would say sort of a self-maintained dog walking trail right now. That is very prominent from Butterclam to Tars. It's really well maintained, and the best way to describe this is it's about 150 meters of the High Dune Trail. It's before you hit the wetlands, the predominant wetlands, and before you hit all the wax myrtle and all that sort of, it's really in the grass. The last couple of years, because I live in that area and walk it all the time, it's really getting developed all the way down to Marine View. So the idea is basically a multi-use trail, not paved, gravel, bulldozer, dirt, nothing too nice, just how to clean up what's in there, but give it the secondary avenue for firefighting access for Dune Fire. And right now, it's the old fire trail is in the middle of the wax myrtle from 30 years ago. If you know where the bone tree is out there, it's not navigable out there at all. So this trail is a little closer, but all of the vegetation is moving up to it. So we would try to get this multi-use as a firefighting Dune Fire access trail, as well as a multi-use trail just for dog walking and hiking, all this sort of stuff.
And the nice part about that is it's extendable in my mind
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
from Ocean Lake Way to Taras.
Yeah.
So, because there's already, people are using it, it's just not as much, but it could be extended
easily, yeah, the vision on this thing is it would easily go from Ocean Lake to Marine View.
Yeah.
Once you get south of Marine View, it gets a little sketchy because of the homes and that sort of stuff. But easily you could go all the way from Taurus, and that would make it almost 2 miles long.
Yes, so.
That'd be a wonderful trail. I ride my mountain bike on Percival all the time.
And so I think there's a real possibility there.
Again, pretty low cost. The cost is, again, all the wetland surveys that have to be done. Because as the city found when they did the high dune, they ran into all sorts. So I don't think the wetland, Marshall and I are in agreement on this. Cause I spent a lot of time, at least between Marine View and Taurus, and seen very few evidence of actual wetlands, unlike what they have in the high dune, so we'll see.
See,
Have you walked that chain? Ever been out there?
Yeah,
There's people out there with their dogs all the time.
yeah, cause it's off the beaten path and you know, it's not that high traffic, but you know, it's good for the dogs, cause they love to
I think
need to smell, you know?
right,
everybody that owns a lab or a coon hound is out there working their dogs, that's what I see out there.
Yeah, sniffing grounds.
Yeah,
Even little schnauzers.
yeah,
if we move to page 3, the long-term, 4 years or more, the one that, one was the walking, biking lanes on Ocean Shores Boulevard. Now, if you ever walk, whether it's Pacific, Ocean Lake Way, Taurus,
Yeah.
you have to be very careful because people are not paying attention, they're not slowing down. And some safety issues such as the crosswalks, I will attest, would be very helpful. So that's the longer term winner of the 4 years or more. Now, the good news of all of that is Gary was able, he won't take credit for it, but I'm gonna give him public credit for it. He was able to get all 5 of those that we just mentioned into the Parks Department comprehensive plan, right? So not only are we gonna be working on them, but they'll also be documented in the Parks plan. They'll get some more, eyes and more action that way as well.
and the reason for that is honestly, often for many of these grants, one of the requirement would have to be that it has to be in some sort of city master plan. And in the case of the city, the Park and Recreation Master Plan actually does include walking and biking, it has some really old information. So I worked with Kristen Hartman from the Parks Board and Mark and I, and they have a contract helping them a little bit. We have people.
You had people who
Yeah.
just,
Did they, hopefully they got to hear.
they could hear.
Oh, good.
Good.
So are there any questions about the results?
So we will, and then we'll go in here.
Yeah. Any questions?
Sounds great. Sounds.
So what we're gonna be looking for is if you're interested, if one of these in particular interests you, I said I'll take the 50-mile loop because I ride it all the time. But we're looking for some sort of citizen proponents that can sit down with Mark or myself and then help write a description of it and then work with the city, because the city is extremely undermanned, to sort of become one of the city proponents to help push this forward from a citizen standpoint. The other thing we were looking to do is, I mean, walking and biking is something that everybody in Ocean Shores wants to do, and trying to figure out a way, and I'd love to hear ideas from anybody in the group, sort of move this out from under a subcommittee of the planning commission, because it's kind of gonna run its course pretty soon from the planning commission. There's some sort of citizens group we can put together of folks who are really interested in this and wanna sort of sign up and say, yeah, I'd like to be on the Ocean Shores Walking and Biking Committee. But because this was done under the planning commission to begin with, so it's limited in what it can do. If we do it outside the planning commission, we have, yeah, Chris, and I'll get you, if we do it outside the planning commission to move forward, this allows us a lot more freedom to do it that way. All right, Kristen, your hands up.
I know. Hi. So I just wanted to give you guys an update because the Parks Board did not have a meeting in March because we didn't have a quorum. So yes, I have been working with AHBL pretty closely, and I did invite Gary and is it Mark? Sorry, Okay, and to input because of all the work that you guys have done on the biking and walking trails, and that does have to be in the comp plan. So just a huge thank you and shout out to everybody who's participated in those surveys, because that really does weigh a lot when we're going for grants. And so the feedback was really great. But I do want to let you guys know that I believe our deadline for bringing it to council and to public comments, you have 30 days, is April 5th. So be on the lookout for that to come to you guys, and we're really pretty excited to get the feedback from the community. That's all I had to say.
Well, if there's any way that we can assist with what you still have going on to get to council, let us know.
Okay, I will. Thanks.
Anybody else online?
Yeah.
All right.
Any comments from afar? Hey.
So is there an interest if we do a citizens group to sort of do that? You are definitely, could you get her, we'll get your contact information? And what we have I run a Ocean Shores Biking Facebook group, but it's really not very active, not many people involved in it. So what maybe we'll just do is start with creating a Facebook group for walking and biking and doing that.
Yeah, if you'll do that, and I'll reach out to all our members on DOTC.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure, I mean, that's just taken off phenomenally and branched off into all these different things, and there's always volunteers from that pool that want to be in one thing or another, so.
And so what I'm gonna do is when I'm back, in June, July, I'm gonna start offering bike rides, and I'll do it on both Facebook groups. And I used to do a couple of lead bike rides, but I started riding by myself again, so I stopped leading bike rides because there's no reason to. But, I'll start pushing that out again, and I think through BOTS and all that sort of stuff, we'll get more people interested and excited.
Yeah.
And I think sort of we'll do a walking and biking, I'll do the one back, walking and biking Ocean Shores Facebook group. And getting this out from under the planning commission, I think, has got a lot of value to it, because we don't have to do Open Public Meeting Act. We can meet in the coffee shop and talk, and we don't have to go through all of the things we have to do formally here. And then we can still use the planning commission as a voice to push it forward, or, we gotta start pushing, figuring out, I can't say this in planning commission, but if I'm not on the planning commission, I can say it's a way to push as a citizen the city forward. As Jane can tell you, you have to be a voice. And because we're on the commission, we're restricted in what we can do. Getting it out from us can really start to push our elected officials a lot more to start taking this a little more, not taking it more seriously, but going, because they have a lot of other. So getting this into that priority group where it needs to be.
And I'll see if I can get something in next month's Ocean Observer asking for volunteers as well.
Yeah, okay. That'd be great.
That'll reach a large number of people, obviously, with the Ocean Observer, so.
Go ahead, Jane.
There's also another publication that has started up that I'm keeping an eye on, that's dealing with local news and everything, so, that might be,
Yeah.
I'll watch it for a little bit, I wanna see exactly where content goes back and forth.
Gotcha.
It might be another great avenue, because it touches on a lot of the subjects that all the citizens are talking about, so.
And then when I get back, and then in early May, I hope to drag, blue zones, activate blue zones in and try to leverage them to get the Daily Word to do something on the 50-mile loop. Because they seem to have a little bit of luck working with the Daily Word, who's always looking for work. So I think if we can get as much as we can out of them before they go away, I think he's got 9 months left or something.
Something like that on his contract.
Before they're done. So we can leverage them for as much as we can before they're done, or they get another grant from somebody else and stay around, we'll see. The other thing I need to do is, for the biking side of it, Buck Giles has finally sold all of his Seabrook things. So he's a little less busy, so I'm gonna try to get him, a little more involved. He owns LeBeau now. If you're familiar, he owns LeBeau Cyclery. He used to own the cyclery up in Seabrook and some other things. So Buck's trying to do more riding and getting the vote going, so we'll try to work with him and do that.
Any other comments in the room? Okay. If you want to sign up on your way out and join the citizens group, just please
Yeah.
leave your information there. Any other comments from afar, please? Going once, going twice. So, well, thank you all for your interest,
Great, thank you.
and we'll just keep trying to move this forward
Yeah, gotta keep pushing.
as we go, so we appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Nicole.